The Vital Bracelet Arena app launched prior to the Vital Bracelet BE's release and had a fairly buggy release to say the least, which caused the app to sit on a 1-star review average across all app stores. Not to mention the fact that many fans were disappointed by the fact that, in order to keep their Digimon that sat on the old VB Lab app, they were required to manually transfer each Digimon to their bracelet from the old app and then back onto the new app, which, to further add salt to the wound, brought many to the attention of the app's first bug, other than the incredible slowness of it, and that was the fact that sometimes Digimon get lost in the transfer process due to errors and bugs. But is this app still as bad as it was when it released in late 2022? One of the main issues that has plagued the app since its launch is the slowness of the app and its various bugs. There's still a few bugs that can occur when transferring Digimon from the bracelet to the app that results in the loss of a Digimon. In fact, when recording footage for this video, I actually lost my Tiger Vespermon, but this bug is at least less common than it was on release due to various updates and bug fixes. It is important to mention that the old app also sometimes had bugs where you could lose your Digimon in transferring it, usually if you moved or had the Vital Bracelet in a specific position that the phone didn't have such a good connection to it. So it did happen on the old app, but it was far less common than it is on the new Vital Bracelet Arena app. But it's still important to mention that this was an issue that did happen on the old app, and it doesn't happen as often as it did when it launched. In fact, this is the first Digimon that I have lost in a transfer process since the app released, which I was losing most of them when I was first using the app. When I was doing my transfer from the old app to the bracelet, and then from the bracelet to the new app, I lost, I would say, about 20 to 30% of the Digimon that I was transferring. Again, it wasn't most of them, but it was enough that it was definitely a problem, and it didn't make me have that much faith in this new app because of all the chance of losing the Digimon. So it's definitely not as common as it was when the app first launched. So that is a good thing at least. However, each update seems to break something. For example, when Bandai added the DC Vital Hero card to the app, the adventure missions in the Vital Hero area of the app just broke. And as far as I'm aware, because I don't really use my Vital Bracelet anymore, I'm basically just sticking to my BE, this is all still broken as far as I'm aware, and at least as of recording this. Speaking of the Vital Hero, it's still weird to me that the latest Vital Hero released in mid to late 2023, and it still had the special missions menu where you could send missions from the old app to the bracelet, which is a feature that hasn't been added into the new app. I've done a video on this before because I found that it was a fairly commonly asked question, especially when people are just running the older model Vital Bracelets or the Vital Heroes, and that is that the older model had the ability to do these things called special missions because you wanted it to do extra trophies. But on the BE, there's no need for that because you just do exercises or squats for PP, which is the BE's version of the trophies. So it's not needed with the Vital Bracelet anymore for the BE, but it's still a feature and functionality in the old Vital Bracelets. However, the app doesn't support this even in the Vital Hero, Vital Bracelet, and Digivice V areas of the app. So that is weird that a Vital Hero DC has that as a setting, as a functionality, when there's no ability to actually add special missions to the Vital Bracelets now, because it's not supported on the app. So that is something that is important to mention, that for some reason Bandai have just, I guess, had a bit of an oversight there, or they just don't care about the older models, but there's no way to do special missions on this app, which means that if you got a Vital Hero, you just can't do special missions, so it is a bit of a shame there. And then in terms of the slowness, I feel like one update a few months ago did speed it up. However, it definitely slowed down again with the next update, so the slowness doesn't feel like it's improved, and when it does, it feels like it immediately slows down again. That is a huge issue there. I feel like no app or game or anything that I'm running on my phone runs as slowly as the Vital Bracelet Arena app. The VB Lab was quite fast, at least in comparison to the VB Arena app, so that is an issue. And then, while they did add events and customization plates to the app, which the VB Lab app did have, even those aren't as good as what the old VB Lab app had. The events are battle events for PvP, and we have fourth battles for co-op PvE. The battle system, while being more involved than the older app battles, has its fair share of bugs too. Not to mention, again, the slowness and large amounts of load times and their frequency. As for the PvE, play versus environment, these are called fourth battles, or force battles, which the app can't really seem to make up its mind which it is called, but it's one of those, I guess. While being similar-ish to raids on the old app, as they are co-op and there's some sense of community, it feels a little bit like they're still missing a few of the small touches of charm that the raid battles had, such as the raid showing you what other Digimon were fighting at the same time and you'd do like group attacks. That was pretty cool. In terms of the customization plates that both the old and the new app have, these seem to not be given out as often and are only given out for major and special events such as the Digimon Con or the 25th Championship Cup. For the old app, you would get one if you ranked high enough for each raid. For this time, we're not getting any for these force battle events, which are basically seemingly tie-ins to the currently running Digimon web novel on Digimon.net called Digimon Seekers, which I've not only done audio readings of on this channel, I've also done reviews and many, many videos on it. So they do tie-ins with Digimon Seekers, but I kind of would have assumed us to get some customization plates for these events, especially with being a tie-in to Digimon Seekers. So that is a little bit of a shame, but I'm glad that we do get some customization plates, even if we've only just had a few, whereas we had many for the old app. In general, it is a shame that they didn't carry over from the old app. As I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to have your Digimon still, you would have to manually transfer them. It would have been nice to have any connectivity between the two apps, but there wasn't. It's likely that being because the old app was done by a third party and the new app is done in-house by Bandai. You can also see that there's a jump in quality from when they commissioned and contracted a development company to do the original app, and now they're just doing this one in-house. Kind of feels a little bit of a weird choice not to try to continually engage with that development company. But in any case, there was no connectivity between the two apps, so any of those special plates are lost. Same with anything that's still on that old app in general. But the plates are pretty cool. In general, however, the rewards for all of the events feel fairly lackluster, not even just in comparison to the old app. They just don't feel like they're worth the amount of time you put in for the various events. You don't really get much. It would be better to get more of these items and events and stuff, but yeah, again, it's fairly lackluster. Additions such as the adventure functionality, where you can send your Digimon out to get items that can boost your Mon's stats, are welcome additions and something I really like. But some additions, like the VB lobby, which acts as a cute little online chat room where you still have to use the app to create a room to battle in, it feels like it needs a little bit more polish to be more streamlined into the actual app. Overall, while the app is better than it was at its launch, it's still hurt by constant new and annoying bugs, and of course the annoying load times that make even the most modern and high-tech of phones feel ancient. The app has had various features added, like I mentioned, the force battles, they're pretty cool, and the adventure missions to send your Digimon on, so it does have a lot of potential and it has had a lot of nice additions to it. However, as of now, it's still fairly slow and disappointing. So we can only hope that Bandai continues to work on and improve the app, and that it just doesn't continue to add bugs before eventually removing it entirely like they did with the old app. So, in general, the app is still bad, but it does have a lot more functionality than it did at launch. Again, the welcomed added additions and functionality like the force battles, like adventure missions, like items, those are all great, and I'm glad that we got them. It would just feel, even if they just sped up the app just a little bit, it would make me enjoy the time on the app. There's also that fear that I might lose a Digimon every time I transfer it. Again, it's not a common bug like it was. There was one that was quite annoying a few months ago, I believe, that if you transferred too many characters over at once onto the app would block you out of using the app for a week, just for transferring characters across. And I say characters because, from my experience, it seemed to be using the non-Digimon characters from the Vital Bracelet BE, like the My Hero characters and the Demon Slayer characters. And it kicked me out of the app for a week. I thought that I'd lost my account, and then it just came back to life after a week. And this was a fairly widespread issue, so the way to avoid it at the time, I feel like it's been fixed. It was fixed fairly silently from Bandai, and the fix seemed to be just only transfer one at a time, and then close the app completely, open the app again, and then do the transfer. So added even more load times to an already fairly long load time process. So I'm still hopeful for the future because at least we don't have that bug anymore. It was very annoying, but still, it could be a lot better, but again, it could be a lot worse. So those are my thoughts on the Vital Bracelet Arena app. It's still sad that it wasn't just a big update to the VB Lab app. That is a shame. It's a shame that we lost everything from that old app, and you had to manually transfer your Digimon across, which was very annoying. At least in the case with the just VB Lab, I think it was just called the VB Lab, which was the one for the Ultraman and Kamen Rider characters. That one, because it didn't have any online functionality, is still around. You can still use it, but again, there's no online functionality anyway, and you can just use with the BE, so whatever. But anyway, those are my thoughts on that new app. Hopefully we see continual updates to it. I'm crossing my fingers, but not too hard. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, etc., in the comment section below. Like this video for the hope that Bandai improves this app, because it could be good, it could be great. It's just not at the moment. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have subscribed, tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell your enemies, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!